and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And today on the show, we're going to demystify yet another buzzword out there in technology land. What is it, Sean?
Netbooks.
Netbooks?
We have been asked about, we've gotten letters.
Books for fishermen.
Exactly, or for spiders.
Spiders, right. No, not really.
Kind of.
As you may have heard this term, right? Netbooks, it's been floating around for a little while now. And we're going to reveal what exactly is a netbook, what's inside a netbook, and is it for you, or should you leave it just for your grandma?
Grandma books.
Grandma books, maybe.
We shall reveal all.
All right, let's take a break when we come back. Netbooks Demystified here on Lab Rats. Well, you've heard about a laptop, you've heard about a notebook. What the heck is a netbook? Well, this certainly isn't.
No, it's not. This is a little bit too big for a netbook.
This is actually really ugly. Look at it, it's like 1.5 inches thick, it's 97 pounds.
Yeah, and I mean, this is definitely a little bit outside the range of some of today's modern notebooks. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier and all of that. But even with the newer notebooks, they do tend to be heavy. So it's something that you know, if you're going from here to there, maybe to the cafe or to work and back or whatever, and you want to be able to do some basic stuff, and you don't necessarily want to bring an entire notebook with you. Because, I mean, look at this. This is a beast.
A brick.
It is a beast. And even the smaller ones that are out these days, they're kind of bricks too. So
let's show them what a netbook is then.
Right, well, there we go. So we have netbooks right here, and just as a comparison here, take this out. Look how, look at the size differential between the old and the new here.
It's eeny weeny.
It is eeny weeny.
Wowee.
So it doesn't have a teeny weeny polka dot bikini, but it could.
All right, well, let's start with the definition, okay? So we know what a notebook and a laptop, of course, assume it's a full-sized portable computer. That's what this is.
This is this.
Right? And it's almost, these days, it could be a desktop replacement too, right? So it would be as powerful, for example, as a desktop computer, but it's mobile. Now, netbooks, not so much. So let's define what a netbook is, Sean.
Well, a netbook has been, another name for the netbook over the last little while is Ultra Mobile PC, UMPC, and that comes in multiple forms. Netbook has sort of taken the form factor of an old school notebook. The UMPC category as a whole have been sort of all over the map. Some of them have been just little tablet-sized things, but the key there is ultra mobile. It's small, it's designed to be like a notebook, but really small, really portable.
Right. And in fact, I think even as few as 3 years ago, it would have been considered a sub-notebook too.
Yes.
Except that the sub-notebooks are eeny-weeny tiny computers that run as fast as a notebook and have a heftier price.
Yes.
And really, that's the distinguishing factor here. In fact, let's talk about the key distinguishing factors of netbooks relative to notebooks, shall we?
Well, size is one, first of all.
Yeah.
And as you just mentioned, a category, sub-notebooks, which have been out for quite some time, like a decade or more at this point. But these ones are sort of scaled back to the basics. Sub-notebooks were an attempt back in the day by companies like Fujitsu, NEC, all of the other big players, IBM, to sort of take everything that was in one of these and just cram it down into a tiny size. And what you got at that point was just complete lack of power, almost nothing in there that you want. It was still big, it was still heavy, and you were expecting this full-size performance out of this, but you didn't get it.
Right.
It just wasn't
there.
So
if you wonder if you ever had a sub-notebook, then here's how you know. If in the last 5 years you traveled on an airplane and you managed to get more than 2 hours of work done, and the back of the seat didn't crush the screen during, while you were in flight, and also if you actually got, more than just your basic work done on it, then you had a sub-notebook. It was tiny, and of course, if you didn't have a chiropractor's bill as well at the end of the trip.
There you go.
So these days, now they have all those features, right? So they're tiny, they have decent battery life.
Yes.
They're very, very affordable, right? They're in the $300 to $500 range.
Yes.
Although some are actually creeping up a little bit higher. We'll talk about that a bit later. And they have a choice of operating systems on them, including either Linux or Windows XP, or I guess a basic version of Windows Vista as well.
Right. So what we've got, actually I've got this one right here. This is an Acer Aspire 1.
And you bought this a little while ago,
And
right?
I bought this for about $350 Canadian, so about $300 US potentially.
Yeah.
And it's running a version of Windows 7, which is the brand new version of Windows that's out in beta right now.
Right.
So it's powerful enough to run these to a certain extent. It's not as fast as a full-on notebook, but it's pretty peppy, especially when it's plugged in, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. There's also a version that we've got right here that is running a version of Linux. So it's their own version of Linux. You can put other versions of Linux on these things as well.
Right. So for the newbies out there, let's explain what Linux is.
Well, Linux is an open source operating system. It's based on an old school computer operating system called Unix, but it's maintained and modified by the community as a whole. So it allows anybody to write their own programs. It allows anybody to create their own distribution of it. So if you're saying, for example, you know, I'd like to create my very own lab rats version of Linux. You can do that. All the source code is available. You can modify it, and then you can wrap it up. And as long as you meet a certain set of conditions for distribution, you know, making sure that it's free, making sure that everybody else has the same source code, you can actually push it back out the door as your own distribution.
Right.
So
it's it's an open source, meaning that anybody can take the programming language and rewrite it, right? And it's not owned by anybody. And it's not a Windows product, it's not a Microsoft product.
It's not a Microsoft product.
So for the most part, it is free, which is amazing. Good. Okay, so you can put Windows XP on it, which is an older version of Windows, obviously, by now. Windows Basic, which few people are doing, I think, these days, given the bad press that Vista is getting. Or Linux, your flavor of Linux. And many of them come with those options, don't they?
yes.
Right. Moving forward, I think you can see Windows 7 being the new operating system for Microsoft. It will come out in 2010. Early reviews suggest that Windows 7 is highly efficient and easy on resources. So you're going to see Windows 7, I think, emerge as a very big platform for the netbook category.
Yes.
Right, very good.
So there you go.
So let's talk a little bit about the user. Who is the user
Well, the user
of netbooks?
Okay, well, first of all, the user of a notebook is anybody who wants to get work done on the go.
Yeah.
But there is a whole category of people out there, users that both are at home or moving back and forth between here and there in the cafe, where they have several things they want to do, and only several things. They want to check their email, they want to maybe do a little bit of writing, and they want to surf the web. Basically net usage. That's why they call them netbooks, because they make use of the net rather than the full shebang. So people that are doing hardcore video editing, for example, or hardcore photograph editing probably aren't going to want to use one of these because they're too small and they don't have enough power. But for all the basic tasks, most of the notebooks that are out there are completely overpowered for these basic things like checking your email.
Right.
So that's the person that's just using those basic tasks will be perfect for one of these.
Right. So it's sort of the mobile user who wants basic internet activity, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you can still do some, word processing. You can still do Microsoft Excel and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All the basics. It's funny because once upon a time, this can do everything that all kinds of computers used to only be able to do.
Right.
It's just the multimedia and that sort of thing it doesn't do quite well. Although it will play movies and it will display photos and that kind of thing.
It'll do all of that perfectly fine. Just when you get into the hardcore content creation and editing, anything that needs a lot of raw processor power, then you're sort of moving away from these into something more powerful and something bigger.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the downsides of the netbooks, because I think it's very important. People are going to go, wow, a $300 computer, I'm going to run out and get one and it's going to do everything that I want it to do. I don't want to cut video, so... But no, that's not the case, is it?
Okay, well here's one of the immediate things is because of the smaller form factor here, you've got a smaller keyboard. So they have something called key pitch, which, and they're just something less than 85% of the size of a regular keyboard. So other keyboards will come out to about here, and this one right here is obviously way more compressed in order to get all the keys into this so
you need incy-wincy hands.
You need tiny hands, or you need to relearn how to type on a smaller keyboard.
Right. So your fingers, so those of you like me who have sausages for fingers, not so comfortable.
Not so good. And even people with smaller hands can find it takes some getting used to this as well. Okay. So, and the other thing is, not all of them are the same, but this one, the Acer, has this very strange looking trackpad right here. So you've got the trackpad in the middle, and then the left click on this side and right click on this side, and I find that it's very, very hard to get used to. myself. So you probably want to carry around a mouse as well when you're using something like this.
Now that said, those two issues, you could always plug in an external keyboard and an external mouse.
Yes.
You don't have to use that.
No.
It reduces the portability, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because you have to carry extra bits. But you could do that, right?
Yeah, I'd say if you're going to carry around a keyboard and a mouse, just carry around the full notebook in the first place.
Right.
But for home usage, it's perfectly fine to do that. Because these have USB ports, you can connect those external devices.
Right, okay, good.
So another downside, no optical drive on
so-
most of these.
Right, so explain what that is for
So an optical drive is, it's, you know, the little shiny discs that you put in, the CDs, DVDs?
CDs and DVDs?
That's an optical drive,
Yeah.
and that's the way that most people install things onto their computers.
Right.
These don't have them. So
So we got a piece of software?
we don't have a piece of software. We do it over here. But what we need to do here is, so here, obviously, we're not going to put this in here anywhere. There's just no room for it. So what you need to do is you need to get an external drive. And we have right here a little Sony drive. This is about $100 to add this onto your system. It connects via USB. This particular one requires power as well. So you need to carry around a power brick for the external drive.
Okay.
You can get some that are USB powered, but they don't always work, especially with devices this small. So again, something else to carry around with you potentially.
So as you can see, your tiny 3-pound netbook is now getting to be 5, 10, or 15 pounds. Well, I don't know about 15 pounds, but you know,
it's adding up.
It's not 3 pounds anymore, to put it that way. Right,
It
okay,
is.
good. So there's no optical drive. Now the other thing I want to mention too is there's no full-size processor in these.
No, these ones use what's called an Atom processor. And I'll bring this one over here and show you this. It's got Atom inside here.
Now it's still an Intel processor. And the Atom processor is a new processor from Intel designed to run low power, low heat, and is actually been designed for these smaller form factor computers.
Yes, and you know what? It does a pretty good job when it's plugged in. And I mentioned this earlier. When it's all plugged in and running, it just goes like stink. It works perfectly fine for most applications. Again, you won't be doing Photoshop. You won't be doing, you know, Premiere or anything like that on here. But you know, it does react really well. Unplug that and go on the go, and man, the power performance just takes a nosedive. Now you can adjust that, but it's nowhere near the experience that you get out of a notebook.
Right, got it. Okay, there you go. So there you go, notebooks or netbooks for you and what they are. Perhaps you might consider buying one now that you know exactly what they are. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about these guys, and then we have picture time.
Yes.
Very good. All right, well, that's after this. Well, we'll have more on netbooks in a minute, just for a couple final thoughts. But first, of course, let's check out Mr. Mobile, who's got his latest segment of his new show about mobility.
Hi, I'm Jay Goldman, and you're watching Mr. Mobile. Today we're going to take a look at an iPhone application called Shazam that will save you from going insane the next time you hear a song on the radio and you don't know what it is. Shazam will listen to that song and actually identify it for you, and it does pretty well. In fact, it's found almost every song that I've ever tried to challenge it with. So let's take a look. You can get the app in the iPhone App Store. It's a free download, so just go ahead and install it. When you've got it on your phone, you just tap on the Shazam icon on your home screen, and that will bring up the application. Now, a little bit of nomenclature. Shazam refers to tagging a song, which is when it's identified it for you. And so when it comes up, you'll actually see your tag screen, which shows all of the songs that you've recently tagged. Those tags are in there permanently, so if you forget what a song was that Shazam helped you find, you can always just bring the application up again and take a look at those. When you're ready to tag something new, you just tap on the Tag Now button. So what I'm actually going to do is cue up some music here that my producer Sean has found for us. I have no idea what it is, and neither does Shazam, and so we'll let it listen. I'm not going to talk while it's doing that because that might distract it, and then when it's finished, we'll take a look at the results. What Shazam's actually done is calculate a unique audio signature for this song, send that signature up to its servers, and match that against a database full of music that it already knows. And so now what we have is the tag result that it's come back with, which is a song by Raymond Scott called Powerhouse, and it tells us a little bit of information about the album. The tag options down here tell me that it's found it for me in iTunes, so I can tap on this and go into the iTunes Music Store and download this Or it's also found a video for me on YouTube that I can tap on and go into YouTube and take a look at that video. There's also some options down here for managing the tags. So I can take and attach a photo to this if I was, for example, in a really memorable location when I heard the song and I wanted to take a picture of it to remember it. I can upload a picture that I've previously taken, or I can share this tag with my friends who are using Shazam. That's really the application in a nutshell. Free download, available in the iTunes App Store. It's great for those times when you're out with your friends and everybody's trying to figure out what a song is, and you're the guy who can pull out his iPhone and match it for them automatically. So I highly recommend it. I'm Jay Goldman. This has been Mr. Mobile. Check us out on butterscotch.com for more episodes and more of the other Butterscotch shows you know and love. See you next time.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the companies that are actually offering these guys, because pretty much all the big computer companies are in there. But there's some notable ones, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, we've got these two Acers here, but that's not by any means the only one out there.
Well, I should say the Acers actually seem to have reinvented themselves around this category. They've really done well here.
Yeah, I see these almost everywhere I go, and they are very good little units too. So, but they're not the first one to get attention in this space. Now it's probably Asus with the EPC. They were the ones that people started talking about. Right. In a big way.
There was a bank that was giving them away, here in Toronto. Like if you signed up, you would actually get, a free EPC. It was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah. And HP is doing these now as well. They've got a brand new one that people are raving about because it looks so nice.
Yeah, I saw that in Berlin when I was here. When I was there with HP back in June of last year, 2008, and they actually showed them off. The HP Mini, very, very nice little unit for sure.
Yeah, and what's strange is that some of the companies that you traditionally assume as motherboard manufacturers, Asus being one of them, but MSI being another one, they've got one now called the Wind, which is getting some good attention as well.
Very good.
And I think Dell has got one. It's just take a look around. There's a number of different options that are out there, and I believe you saw one down in CES.
Yeah, down at CES, Sony has a new one called the Sony P, and although it's not technically a netbook, because when I said it's a netbook, and the lady went, well, actually, I'd like to correct you on that. And I'm like, ugh. But she's right, because price-wise, it's $1,000. Right. So it's a premium netbook, which kind of defeats the purpose. But
well, when you start adding the things up like we were talking about earlier, like with the CD drive and the keyboard and all of that, and then it does tend to maybe add up to that same level. So if you're going to sacrifice the performance and spend the same amount of money, why not just build it all into the same thing anyhow? So. One other thing I wanted to mention about this, just in case, we talked about some of the things that are in here, but we also didn't talk about a couple other key things that are in here as well. So we've got like expansion slots in here. So if you're using this for digital photography, we do have things for putting your cards in here. This one actually has 2 slots. It's got one on the other side too.
It's an SD card.
So SD reader, memory stick, all of that other stuff.
Right.
And on this side as well, it does have the headphone jack and microphone input jack. Right. And on this other side, it does have a VGA out, so you can connect it to an external monitor if you like, and it does have a networking port as well. So and built-in wireless networking in all of these as well. That's the key feature of all of these. So they are pretty full-function devices, and you can use them at home or on the road.
Very good. Okay, good. All right, well, thank you, Sean. There you go, Netbooks from Lab Rats this week. And now it's time to see some pictures.
We do have some pictures.
Right, we're going to see it on our Acer.
We are not going to see it on the Acer. We're going to see it on this big, completely mobile Samsung screen. But I like it better because it's nice and big.
Yes, it is. All right.
So first of all, we have Tony, who's in Croatia. And I'm not sure what he's showing here, but it looks like a whole pile of games. So Tony. And his great big stash of games.
All right, good.
Thank you, Tony, for sending that along.
Yep.
We also have Alejandro from North Lauderdale, Florida. He decided to send us a picture of his rig. We've asked for people's televisions in the past, and this is his, and this whole entertainment system below.
I'm always curious to see, what people's technology looks like. How they've sort of tricked it out and that sort of thing. It's such becomes signature for some people. It's like.
And this looks like a Windows media center.
It does, doesn't it?
As well.
HP, yeah, maybe. All right,
so
cool.
There you go.
Very
Thank you, Alejandro. And last, we've got Justin, who's in Liverpool, New York. And now, I'm not sure which one of these is Justin, but let's say that it's the guy who's graduating, because our viewers are a smart bunch.
And that looks like maybe Justin's brother.
It looks like it could be, yes.
Could be a relative of some sort.
So there you go. Congratulations, Justin, or Justin's brother.
Yay!
And thank you for sending the picture along.
All right, well, thanks. You can send your pictures to us at
graduate in 30 days or less with Lab Rats at labrats.tv.
Or
feedback@labrest.tv.
Very good, yeah. Don't forget to send it in a reasonable size. And we want pictures of you and your mom and your dad and your kids and your pets and your technology and your mortarboards as well, apparently.
Yeah, but if you're wearing the mortarboard, please let us know that it's you so we can make sure to congratulate you
Make sure
properly.
we make fun of you and not your brother.
Exactly.
All right. Don't forget you can check out other shows by butterscotch.com. That's our new home on the internet, including the A-List from Evan MacArthur and Miss Download, who has her own show out there now and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, Mr. Mobile has his own show on there as well. So if you didn't watch this episode, thus not hearing me say this, you can actually catch it by itself.
At butterscotch.com. And loads of tutorials too. So.
Yeah, tons.
Anyway, thank you for coming to us this week, pushing play, downloading, however you got to us. Thank you. We love to see you. We love your emails. My name is Andy Walker,
I'm Sean Carruthers.
and we'll see you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
Yes, well, we shall reveal all in this episode.
All right. Well,
And not only that, but what's inside, not only what
Speeds
they
and
are,
feeds.
speeds and feeds a little bit, and target users. Do you need a netbook? Or
you
do you
do.
just need to talk about netbooks like you have a netbook?
or is it just
So
for
you can
your
be one of
grandma?
the in-crowd?
Is it just for your grandma? Blah, blah, let's do this
Those are
again.
grandma books.
What?
Those are grandma books. One more time.
One more time.
One more time.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good. There's good
We're just talking over each other. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, okay. Now you're both talking too much.